Check. Oh yeah. Hi. Hello. And welcome back to the grounds. I am Jonah, and by day, I am a project manager and an operational liaison of sorts for the team here at Indepreneur. By night, I write and produce cinematic alien funk music under the stage name Dukes. So Dukes is kind of my creative passion project, my baby, if you will. I have a pretty heavy background in music, recording and producing for other artists. I spent the better part of my musical career doing just that, working in commercial recording studios in and around Los Angeles. And Dukes was kind of born of this desire to be writing more of my own original music and producing more of my own original music. So right now, with the Dukes project, I'm at a little bit of a standstill. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've put out a lot of music, a couple EPs, a bunch of videos, I've run some fan finders, I've done an ultimate album launch, and I've had a fair amount of success with all of that stuff. But right now, I haven't posted on social media since, I think, May. I've just kind of been silent for the last 6 to 8 months and not really doing much. And this is kind of a little bit of a reoccurring theme with me. In the past, and for a lot of the stuff that I've put out, I've put a ton of work into the releases that I've done. Being that I write and produce the music, I mix and master the music, I do most of my own video editing, most of my own graphics, it's really just a ton of work. And I think with each of these big releases that I've done, I've kind of swung for the fences. I'm looking for that moonshot of just let me do this really cool project that everybody's gonna love and that's gonna catapult me to success and fame and all the things that I may desire. And in reality, that kind of goes against a lot of what Indepreneur preaches. I haven't been very good about just keeping my head down and doing the work, focusing on consistency, focusing on nurturing my fan base. I really just haven't done a lot of that. I think the other reason that I haven't been putting out as much music as I should or that I would like to is that I am genuinely terrified of putting myself out there. What I mean by that, I guess, is doing what I'm doing right now is terrifying for me. And in fact, me doing this episode of The Grounds actually just became a requirement for me from work because it was something that I just kept putting off. I was nervous, I didn't feel like I was ready, and Circa pretty much told me as my boss, you have to get this done. Now, obviously, I'm really excited to do this. I love The Grounds and I love all our content that we put out on the channel, but I think this really brought to light a lingering issue for me, which is that I ultimately am always seeking this certain level of perfectionism in what I'm doing, and it's really been a hang-up for me in releasing music. I think I kind of hide behind this veil of it's not done yet, or it's not as good as it should be, or it could be, and that prevents me from really taking any action. In reality, I'm sure what I'm putting out and what I'm creating is fine, but I just don't always see it that way. So I think for me, I need to focus on building systems that I can use day to day to make sure I'm putting out content consistently. And then I think the next thing that I need to improve on is to stop hiding behind this veil of perfectionism and just kind of acknowledging that this is the process, this is how it goes, and I'm always gonna be working at it and I'm always gonna be improving. It's a real challenge for me. I don't know if I can do it, but I hope that I can. It's been something that's held me back for a really long time. I think that I'm up to the task and I certainly wanna be, but what better place to find out than right here on The Grounds. So, as I said, I started the Dukes project about 4 or 5 years ago. And pretty much from the onset of the project, Circa, who's always been a really good friend of mine, approached me about helping out with some marketing. Now, this was back before Indepreneur had even started. And so in the early goings of things, what Circa and I felt like made sense for my marketing was to do what everyone else was doing at the time, which was pay for a PR company to get my music on some blogs. Now, we definitely had some success doing that. We paid a lot of money, and we definitely got a lot of great social proof from that. My music was on the front page of Hypem. I got on Reddit, listened to this. I was on a bunch of EDM and electronic music blogs, but I can't say that I really saw any change in terms of my followers, my fans. I definitely got some plays on Spotify, but you know, that really didn't amount to a whole lot. So then as time was going by, Circa was telling me more and more about these ideas that he had for marketing independent musicians and really what was going to start to become the framework for Indepreneur. Pretty much right from the start, I was running fan finders with Circa and getting a lot of love on those videos and really starting to get some new fans. Then we started looking at doing an album launch. Now, as a lead up to the album launch for my second EP titled Sarita, I did a series of fan finder videos. The cool spin that I decided to put on these videos is that myself and the rest of the band that kind of makes up Dukes would get into a moving vehicle and record the songs live as we were kind of driving around LA.
Lady with the cigarette, are you the one I came to see?
Aside from being a bit of a technical headache to pull off, the videos did really well. The best performing video was for the lead single, a song called Lady of the Night, and it racked up about 1 million views on Facebook. I also saw a lot of benefits from that. I got some sync and placement opportunities from the exposure that that song got. I got a fair amount of streams on the song on Spotify, and I saw my Facebook likes and follows basically triple. So again, definitely a lot of success that I had from my album launch, and really was a good indicator that things were working. Then when we did the actual album launch, I ended up with a bunch of sales at the end of the campaign. We made back all the money that we spent on ads and then some. So really right from the start, I saw a lot of great results from using the strategies that Indepreneur recommends. I was seeing them firsthand in terms of what was happening with my own music. Circa and I put a ton of effort into my album launch, and I think it kind of led to, at least for myself, some degree of burnout. That's kind of been my trajectory up to this point. I've had some really good success with some big projects, and then I just haven't done anything for a year or even 2 years after I finished that project. So I'm going to start using Asana to track my creative work. Now, Asana is something that we use at Indepreneur every day. It's where we track all of our projects, it's where we track all of our deliverables and make sure stuff is getting done. And I really feel like it can be useful for me as a tool to help make sure I'm staying on track with my goals and that I'm finishing things when I say I'm going to finish them, and I'm continuing to put out new content. The first step for me is to identify what songs I have that I've been working on that I think are good to go to move forward into production and eventually for release. And so in order to better do that, back in September, I reached out to my good buddy and Indepreneur co-founder, Circa.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good sir.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing quite well myself.
Did you have a productive and fruitful week?
I would say it was pretty productive, pretty fruitful.
Dude, that's all we can hope for. Now, I know Circa's in a similar boat to me. He is trying to finish songs and release music and keep that consistent. We came up with a really good game plan as to how we're going to track our work and help hold each other accountable.
Do you want me to run down first or you?
Why don't you kick us off?
Okay, I will kick us off. All right, so step back in tracking. That's a bingo.
I really think that finding a teammate, a peer that's doing similar stuff to me is going to be really helpful for me.
7 Cities. Did you get 2 more of the 7 Cities songs reproduced?
I did. I got them. I'm pretty competitive, and I think that by kind of matching up my goals against Circa's, we can kind of go back and forth and push each other to really move the chains on what we're trying to do. Crushing it.
Thank you for
The weekly check-in, sir, and I hope you get all of your things done.
You as well, good sir. I will see you out there. Thanks again, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, peace out. So now in mid-November, I've been managing and tracking all of my work in Asana for the better part of the last 2 months. I can honestly say at this point that it is going very well for me. I've gotten more done in the last 2 months than I probably have in the last 2 years. I'm trying to stay positive and present and just focus on doing the little work every day and not worry so much about being perfect or delivering this magnificent end project when everything is all done. And so now I've identified 5 tracks that will be new singles for me in 2020. I've also come up with a cool piece of reoccurring content that I want to feature, doing beat videos here in my studio. And I've also set up a schedule to where I can maintain and track the progress I'm making and keep things consistent without burning out. So really for the rest of 2020, that's my only focus. I'm not worried about marketing at this point. I'm not worried about what kind of response I'm going to get or anything like that. It's just keep your head down, focus on the processes, and do what you need to do to get the work done. And then I think in terms of my second kind of central struggle, which is just putting myself out there, not needing things to be perfect, and being more comfortable with that idea, this episode of The Grounds was super helpful for me. I kind of delayed and procrastinated over filming this stuff for the last week or so. I really found any little excuse I could not to do it, but just by sitting down and getting it done, I think I've kind of realized it's really not that bad. I have to keep reminding myself of that. I have to remember that I don't need to be perfect. Not everything I do is going to be great, and people may not like it, and that's okay. I want to focus on getting better every day, improving as I go. Small increments are better than no increments. So that's my goal for the rest of 2020 and moving into 2021. So the next time I do an episode of The Grounds, I want to have these songs done, I want to have these videos done, and I want to be ready to go with new content. I hope to be there by early 2021. I hope you'll join me to find out if I get there, and if you do, I'll see you next time on The Grounds.